Hey everybody, I'm Zon-Getsu134.
Average Joe Squad here.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen, the show where we look at video games, comic books, and everything in between. I almost stuttered that, remember. Everybody, I almost did Alan Moore. Everybody, welcome to Remember the Hyphen.
No, remember the Hyphen's all bullshit. It's all horseshit.
No, we're here to talk about Superman and how he's a god.
One of these days, we're just going to do... I keep joking with him, if we keep fucking the intro up, there will be a compilation at some point. I will sit down and edit a compilation of all the times we have screwed it up. Like, I know in the Addams Family one, he says it's Review the Hyphen.
Oh, that is the worst one.
Because we didn't even notice it.
I was watching it last night because it popped up in my feed.
And just watching it. I was like, oh, damn it. There, I fucked
like,
it
every
up.
once in a while, I rewatch them just because I'm like, all right, what did I do wrong here? The worst is for me is when I'm watching it and, like, I clearly change into the next thing we're talking about, and my eyes, like, flicker.
Yeah.
Because I'm, like, trying to remember where we were at.
But, so, yeah.
So, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, we apologize for not having any uploads up. 1 week we were going to, and we got back pretty late. We didn't have time to shoot. And then the next week was Thanksgiving week, which was a nightmare for us because we work retail. So there was no way we were going to try to get a video out, especially after, like, Black Friday. And then dead upload day was the 26th. So it's been a while, but...
So yeah, we're finally back. We're gonna finish up Mobat Movember, as we were calling it.
Mobat November.
So
instead of no nut.
So
Mobat.
If you remember way back when we did our top 10 favorite comic book movies, we talked about a movie at the end for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, which we should have made its own video. The honorable mention should have been its own video.
It really should have been. We talked about Batman Beyond the Return of the Joker. So we decided, since Comic Pop already did their top 10 favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series...
We're not ripping them off, I swear.
We're going to do a whole episode where we talk about Batman Beyond.
We had this idea a while ago.
we honestly did.
This is in the Nolan retrospective we've kicked around.
Well, the Nolan retrospective I kind of want to hold for when we have like a special occasion. Like
that's become a joke though, is us making a Nolan retrospective, because we're just gonna spend an hour ripping two movies and praising one. And pissing all these fanboys off, basically.
Which, speaking of, this show actually references the fact that they mispronounce Ra's al Ghul as Raz.
Which I love when stuff like breaks the
because
wall.
The episode where Talia comes back, she's like, actually, because like Terry pronounces it Raz, and she's like, actually that's a common misconception. It's actually pronounced Raish, which is hit number one to the plot twist of that storyline. But
yeah, but so anyway, I guess we should probably start this off like we did with the Raimi retrospective. Really, any of our retrospectives, just a little bit of background with how we got into it. Batman. I'll go first. I guess.
Okay, yeah, I guess you go first.
Batman Beyond was honestly my favorite Batman thing. It was probably my favorite superhero thing, period, when I was a kid, before I saw Raimi. Because I was watching Beyond probably around like 2000, 2001. And I didn't see stuff like Spider-Man Unlimited till later. But I don't know how exactly I first saw it. It's kind of like how it's kind of like me with Batman the Animated Series. I don't really remember when I first saw it. I just know at some point got interested in it. Parents bought me tapes. Used to watch them religiously. It was funny because I actually remember watching more of Batman Beyond than TAS, because TAS didn't really have episodes that were on tape at that point.
Yeah.
Because I used to rent a lot of the Batman Beyond ones from a local store. I had a couple of them.
They did, but like it was very piecemeal. Usually they would just do a couple episodes on like villains. Because I had the Riddler videotape that had the original Riddler episode and Riddler's Reform, and I had one where it was just about Batman, where it had In Dreams and Darkness, and I forget what the other one was. Oh, it was The Grey Ghost.
Yeah, the only ones I had for TAS were Phantasm and Sub-Zero. That was all I had, and then later I got Mystery of the Batwoman when it came out. I remember I got that at release. Yeah. But for the most part, Batman Beyond was like my shit as a kid. That was like my favorite thing. Like I had one of my favorite things ever, memory-wise. I wish I had brought the picture of it. But when I was in first grade, and this would have been roughly like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2002. It was right around the time I saw the Raimi films. But my school had a thing called Pajama Day, where you could come in and wear your pajamas.
As most.
I had this set, man. of Batman Beyond pajamas. It was like the suit. Like
Yeah,
it was all
no,
black,
I can imagine.
and it
All
had
black with
belt
the
and
red
everything.
belt and the big red
Oh,
bat.
I was so pumped that I got to wear that all damn day. It was the best thing ever.
To be fair, that's
because we used to play Batman on recess, like, you know, and I was like, I'm the freaking part today, man. I got the suit and everything. But I'm gonna ask you about this because this is how I actually watched the pilot, and this is how I saw it for years. I actually had it on a tape that was called Batman Beyond the movie.
Yeah, that was actually
the pilot, and it was just spliced together. It didn't have it didn't have the break in the middle like.
Yeah,
they do on the
I will
DVDs.
agree. That was actually how I got into it. I'm gonna hold my tongue. On that though, because when I talk about my experience with this,
yeah,
I'll bring up the tape.
And so like I was watching it right around the time that Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, the original censored one, came out, because I remember seeing the trailers for it on tapes I had, and when it came out, I told my mom, I'm like, because I think I saw an ad for it on TV.
Yeah.
Which, if there was an ad for it on TV, I've never seen a copy of it. I've only ever seen it on like intros to tapes.
Yeah, I think the intro for
It's like that really moody one where it's like beware of his presence, and it's like making the intro and he's starting every sentence with a letter. That really
and not only that, I think it has like voice clips from like the animated series with Joker.
Yeah, and it's got the laugh near the end of it. But there was that one, and there was another one where it had clips from the movie. But I
want to say I saw the trailers for that in mostly VHS tapes. Like I think there was one for Powerpuff Girls because they were both owned by Warner Brothers.
Fun fact: the copy of Scooby-Doo Zombie Island I had actually had Batman
I
Beyond Return of the Joker.
I want to say both it and the Witch's Ghost had that.
That was the moody one. Yeah. Like the other one, I can't remember what I had it on, but it was on a tape.
I think the other trailer is just like clips from the movie.
Yeah, I don't know what I had that one on, but it was on tapes. But I remember seeing it when I saw it on TV, and it said, now in stores, and I was like, I remember the day I saw that commercial. My mom and dad were going to go out to dinner. I was going to be at home with a babysitter. Yeah. Which, ironically, I was watching Batman Sub-Zero that night. I remember it. Before they went out, my mom was like, we're going to go to the mall. Back when the Uptown Mall was still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And they asked me, like, is there anything you want me to get? And I'm like, can you get me Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? They come home and they had it, and it was like the coolest case.
That case looks really good.
Case.
It has that green Joker face and Terry as like.
Yeah, and it's got the all black case.
That was
a good case.
That was a good case. I think the only case that's better than it is the original uncut release of this, where it was in black and white and it had Terry in like red.
Yeah, which we'll get to the movie eventually, but those were what I had. I watched them pretty religiously. The only other ones I had two tapes. I had one that was School Days. Yeah. Which I actually have it on DVD now.
Is that the one with Spellbinder?
Yeah, Spellbinder's in it, and there's another one with, I think, Curie is in it.
Yeah.
I think it's that episode, and there's another one.
Oh, man. I can't wait to, because I've got some stuff.
Oh, I remember it's the one with the rat guy. Remember the rat guy from the early season? Remember. That episode where he kidnaps Dana?
Was he a splicer?
No, I don't think he was a splicer. Okay. He was in that one, because these tapes had 3 episodes, and I had another one. And I can't for the life of me remember what was on it, except one of the Royal Flush Gang episodes was on it.
Okay. Oh man, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, but that was my experience. I had those. I loved them to death. Watched them religiously. It's telling that when Batman Beyond was actually the thing that got me back into comics when I was really getting back into it before Spider-Verse. Yeah. Because this was like back in the heyday of like you could find all these shows on the internet on some like backdoor website like like 4Clip or some shit like that.
Backdoor, more like what we now call as torrenting sites. But
I actually think I found a link because I went back and I was like, man, I really want to watch Batman Beyond again. Yeah. And I'd never seen the whole show. I found a website. I don't think it's up anymore. It's probably gone, long gone. But it had the whole
or sadly got turned into a porn
It had the
site.
whole series. So there was like a week. I would come home from school, from like middle school, and I just watched Batman Beyond.
Oh no,
for hours. I think I binged it all in a week. I watched all of it.
I want to say I have all 3 seasons on DVD.
I have the complete series.
And actually, for a while, Netflix actually I think had the whole series on It
did,
Netflix.
And now it's on DC Universe for those that are.
To be fair, that deserved to be with DC Universe.
Yeah, definitely. Same with Batman TAS, which I'm glad to see they added season 4 of Batman TAS on there as well.
My journey into the show was probably pretty much like yours, except I grew up with Batman the Animated Series.
You're a little older than me, so you were about the age I was when I started watching it, but you were like that age when it was coming out.
Because to be fair, it came out when I was like 1, but like they were rerunning the show a lot. I remember I had the second episode of Feet of Clay on a VHS tape. I used to love watching that episode of Feet of Clay, like because like it was such a like I always remember that because of the like the Clayface animation. That was like one of the better studios that animated that. It was, but I grew up a lot watching that. The fourth season, the new Batman Adventures, when especially when it was the Batman Superman hour, when they used to have the Batman the animated series, and then they would have either an episode of the fourth season, or they would rerun an episode of like the earlier seasons, particularly Batman and Robin, because that's actually how I remember I watched one of the episodes where the second Batman, the second Mr. Freeze episode with the Walt Disney guy that has Nora.
Oh, is that Heart of Ice or
I think it's called Heart of Ice.
Heart of Ice.
Because like there's this weird Walt Disney dude who wants to live forever using Mr. Freeze's.
Yeah, I remember the episode you're talking about.
That part's really stupid. Basically, that was they did that episode, and then we didn't see any episodes of it. And then Sub-Zero happened with Freeze. But anyway, when I got into watching Batman Beyond, it was because Hollywood Video and Conneaut Lake actually had the movie.
Yeah, I used to rent it for that same story.
And it
was in the back. Remember, you'd go down the hallway, like that little ramp thing. And
it was with the kids section past their Sega Genesis and Super NES and 64 games.
It's sad that we remember the layout of that store.
Well, I spent a lot of time in Hollywood Video, so I remember it pretty well.
That store is sadly long gone.
Oh, it breaks my heart going past, like, especially because I wasn't there for the last day it closed. It closed when I was up in college, and I would have loved to have been there and bought some old VHS tapes that they had.
Yeah, I bought a couple. I think I bought like Alien Resurrections. Because it was kind of already picked over.
But so I watched that, and I really enjoyed it. Like I will admit it when I was little, I kind of didn't. I liked it and I didn't like it. I was like, well, Batman's all old, and like, but then I grew into liking Terry, and to be honest, Terry is one of my favorite Batmen. Like the only one, like aside from Dick Grayson, the only other person I think worthy of wearing the Batman costume.
When I was a kid, I actually think I liked Terry more than I liked Bruce, but I think it was just because I saw more of Beyond than anything.
But to be fair, it wasn't like it was a super hard sell because I like the costume and I like the whole. It shoots batarangs. It's got the
fly.
Fly.
It's got the cloaking tech.
Yeah, and it
was such an awesome suit.
And Terry's voiced by the older brother from Boy Meets World, Will Friedle. Ron Stoppable for you younger kids. I watched that, and I watched Return of the Joker. I used to rent those two all the time, especially Return of the Joker.
Return of the Joker is such a good movie.
Especially
I might actually go home and watch that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Because I used to rent it and Mask of the Phantasm and like do like a double feature where I would watch Mask of the Phantasm and then this or Return of the Joker. Sadly when that was on I didn't have Kids WB. I did watch every once in a while, but
I don't think I ever had Kids WB.
Especially because like when I did watch Kids WB, I would get like the episode where like where Max gets kidnapped by the Cobra dude.
Oh yeah, I remember the Splicer guy.
Yeah, the League of Serpents that was based off Copperhead. That or the first Splicer episode where Terry gets turned to Man-Bat. That is legitimately
that's
a horrifying especially because like
the one I remember really is the Spellbinder one. Because I remember that costume. That costume is like very vivid in my mind.
Otherwise, I think the first DVD set I bought this, I actually bought because I used to also rent a couple of the VHSs from back when Giant Eagle used to have
where the pharmacy is.
Yeah.
Anybody who's not from our area is not going to have any idea what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, Giant Eagle is a store much like it's basically
it's a Winn-Dixie for those that are down south.
Yeah, or
a Piggly Wiggly's.
or a Wegmans. But they used to have a video store, and they had some stuff there I couldn't find anywhere else because I lived too far away from Blockbuster to really use the Blockbuster we had.
I don't think I ever went to Blockbuster as a kid. It was always Hollywood Video.
Yeah, so it was either Hollywood Video or Giant Eagle, and they had a DVD. They had the VHS version of because this was back when VHS and DVDs were kind of. And if you got the DVD version of the VHS, you'd get an extra episode. I used to watch the Ink VHS because it had every episode of Ink. The Ink episodes.
Unrelated. When did you guys first get a DVD player?
I want to say when I was in 6th grade because my grandmother actually got me a DVD player for my birthday. In fact, it's the same DVD player I have right now. It's old, but it's reliable.
I think the first time I remember us having a DVD player was probably about. I want to say like 2005, 2006, and I mean it was a big deal back then because we like had like almost no DVDs.
Yeah.
Like I actually think one of the first ones we actually got was like Nickelback the Videos. Was like one of the first DVDs we bought.
My mom also had a DVD VCR thing that could record on DVDs, but it was such a finicky thing it didn't really work.
Yeah, at some point we had one of the combo things where it was a VHS on one side and DVD on the other. And it like you said, it was finicky.
But yeah,
nobody really understood the tech at that point.
But before I got the season sets, I actually had a DVD, and it was one of those DVDs that had like a clip on the side to like hold the case, and it had all the episodes with ink, and I think the first episode was Shriek, and I used to love watching that because I loved Ink's probably one of my favorite characters in this just because she had like a story arc. Because sadly, this show only lasted 3 seasons, and even it kind of felt like they wanted to do more.
And the second season is really, I think, the shortest. I think it's only like 10 episodes.
I want to say it's like half the length of the other 2.
Yeah, which is like really weird.
Well,
I think it went on hiatus for a bit.
Well, then, because like eventually, the other thing is it also had tie-in episodes with Static Shock,
Justice League,
and Justice League, particularly Unlimited, because they did a time travel episode where Batman met his old self and Terry. And then they did Epilogue, which was the actual end of Batman Beyond.
Yeah, it's since come out. There was supposed to be a movie after Epilogue that never got made.
And also, like, they continue the story in the comic books, but
the comics are weird.
Yeah.
For Batman Beyond. I'm not going to lie. I like them, but the comics are a bit weird.
The problem with the comics is it's the same problem with Legion.
It tries to fit the existing canon
while also being the animated series.
It's like one of the more recent ones. They had it that Damian was one of the original wearers of the original Beyond suit.
Which I'm like,
that
no,
doesn't make sense.
There was no Damian in like because they like he says they're trying to
fit it into the existing canon, which doesn't really work.
Which is also weird because before they even introduced Terry into it, they tried to make it that Tim would eventually become Batman, and the suit he would wear was the Beyond suit. Which I'm like, why? Just have Terry if you're gonna do it.
Yeah, DC's had a weird relationship with Batman Beyond.
So
it almost feels like they started doing the comics because it was so popular that they kind of had to. Yeah. Because otherwise they would just be like throwing money away.
So I think with us talking about it out of the way, we might as well get into the whole premise of the show.
Yeah.
So,
you want me to go or?
Well, do you mind if I just kind of bring up why they did that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So, basically, in the late 90s, around like the neo renaissance of comic books,
like
basically
95, 96, somewhere around there, like later half of the decade.
Basically, Marvel was kind of doing some experimental stuff, which they got, I think. Well, anyway, the guy who made 2099, basically, they came up with this idea, let's do, like, a century into the future of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, and they had, like, X-Men 2099, Fantastic Four 2099, Venom 2099.
Let's be honest, the only one anyone remembers is Spider-Man 2099.
The X-Men one is weird. I mean,
they're all weird except for Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's kind of cool because, like, it implies that Doom 2099 is just Doctor Doom due to time travel.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like an anti-hero, which is kind of cool. But basically, you know, like, the 2099 Spider-Man's cool. He's got a cool costume. He's similar enough to the original, and but like he's so far away from Spider-Man, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think basically, especially because like there were a lot of other inspirations to do future stories with heroes. There was also the Phantom TV show where like they did the Phantom, but it's like in the 31st century and it's CG and looks garbo.
Well, and then later Marvel kind of countered Batman Beyond with Spider-Man Unlimited.
Yeah.
Ironically, both of them featuring suits that had like cloaking.
Yeah. So basically, after all this stuff, Warner Brothers is like, hey, can you guys do that with Batman? And they wanted originally to be like so far into the future that this Batman doesn't really
have anything to do with Bruce.
However, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm were like, we're not doing that.
Because that would be like really, really... Yeah, it would be too similar to Marvel.
Because like they I think pitched something too, and like Warner Brothers turned down like, this is terrible. What are you doing?
Yeah. So
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm sat down and were like, we're going to do this where basically it's not 100 years in the future, it's 50. Well, at least it's because I think for context...
They're never consistent with how far it is.
For context, I think they say he's like in his late 80s, Bruce is. So I would argue Batman was like in his mid-late 30s when the new Batman, like the TAS series, ended.
There's entire videos out there. I think like Watchtower did a thing about the timeline for Beyond, because it can get a bit complicated. And like I said, they're not entirely always consistent with it.
Yeah, but for context, we'll just say it was 50 years. But yeah, and so basically they were like, we want to do it where Bruce is nurturing the next generation of Batman.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go into like the premise of the pilot more or less, because the pilot does do really. So the pilot takes place, I think, like when Bruce is in his 50s, so like 20 years after the end of Batman.
He's got gray in his hair, and basically, it's as they depict in the opening episode. You know, he's got a new suit. You know, it's all black. It's all one piece. He's got a big red bat on the.
He has like a visible mouth on the cowl, even though it's like clearly like a mask.
They recycled the Batman Beyond suit logo. It's very, very similar to Batwoman's. Which I'm sure was a direct
and
homage
probably kind of and probably tried to be explained away with Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. Where they explained that his suit was modeled after the Batwoman suit in that movie.
Yeah, but so basically, at this point in time, Bruce is really acting. It's kind of gone full circle. He's back to being by himself. There's no mention of really any of the Bat family in the opening episodes.
And it's kind of also implied Alfred's passed on.
Yeah, it's implied that Alfred has passed because as they show later, like a lot of the stuff in the mansion has got dust covers over it. You know, like. Implying that, you know, Alfred has passed on because of his older age.
It also probably kind of implies that Bruce spends most of his days in the cave.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no mention of any of the other members of the Bat family that we had seen in TAS, you know, Barbara Gordon, Tim Drake, Dick Grayson. They don't even really mention Gordon in the early episodes at all.
No, they don't. They don't
mention him at all. But what happens is...
Well, they kind of do in this pilot, but it's not...
They kind of do.
It's not Commissioner Gordon.
Bruce, you know, he's got the new suit, and he goes to rescue Bunny Vreeland.
The granddaughter of Veronica Vreeland, who was kind of a love interest / not in the animated series.
Yeah, but basically she's been kidnapped by this group, and, you know... The ransom gets paid and they're about to kill her, you know, and so Bruce, you know, busts in and tries to defuse it. It basically at first it looks like he's got everybody, but then he starts having heart problems because that's your first sign that all this time of crime fighting is really taking a toll on him.
And he's also kind of moving with a limp.
Yeah,
like he's not nearly as fast because basically the idea being that the suit is kind of augmenting his age.
Yeah. Yeah, they explain the limp later because as we see later in the episode, he walks with a cane.
Yeah.
But basically he starts having these heart problems, you know, but he kind of soldiers on. Yeah. He tries to free
the girl.
And one of the thugs gets up with a big wrench and just starts beating him around. You know, and it's to the point where like when they show it from Bruce's point of view, you know,
yeah, like
you can hear his heartbeat, everything's red.
and everything's kind of fading in and out.
Yeah.
I forget what the thug. I think the thug says like, you know, I used to think you were a legend, but now
since I was a kid, big bad Batman's been making life hard for guys like me.
But he more or less says, you know, like this washed out has-been is the Batman.
Yeah, but so he's getting ready to really just beat Bruce to death, and as Bruce is laying on the ground, he sees a gun.
Yeah.
And as the guy, you know, he raises the wrench over his head, getting ready to kind of deliver a killing blow, Bruce picks up the gun and points it at him.
Which, in my opinion, is the best way to say why Batman retired.
Yeah.
Because
you can even tell by the way he looks at it when he's on the ground. He's like, I don't have a choice.
Yeah, like because later on after everything gets settled, Bruce actually rips the cowl off and sees the gun in his hand, and he's horrified by what he did.
Yeah, he just drops it.
And to be fair, he didn't fire it.
He just pointed it at him, and the guy dropped the wrench and ran.
But it's such a great way to explain why because basically in his old age, he became the one thing he hates the most, a punk with a gun.
Yeah. And so then we cut to this scene where he's in the Bat Cave, and we see, like, the cave's really, really quiet. He's got the cases with all the costumes lined up.
Yeah, this is the new animated series cave, basically.
Yeah, but you see, like, he's got the cases, like, he's got the new Batman Adventures suit in there. Barbara's costume's there, Tim's there, Nightwing's there, and he puts the Batman Beyond suit in the case, shuts it.
And he says,
never again. And he shuts all the lights off. And then we cut into, like, arguably the most badass intro to a show ever.
To be fair, it's kind of funny because like the animated series like well because the animated series did like orchestra. It actually had like an orchestra that played the music.
Beyond pulls out with this techno stuff. It's like holy shit.
To be fair, awesome. Though, like it works really well because it's the future.
So we cut to the future. I think it says 20 years or something.
Yeah, later. But it's supposed to be 20 years after after that scene. So it's arguably 80 years later. Because for one, like Gotham has changed.
Gotham's evolved. Yeah. It's kind of like No Man's Land. It's evolved.
Like there's still some gritty, but like it's kind of like 2099 where like the higher level, like the higher level
don't have tires anymore.
Yeah, they're hovercrafts.
Yeah, they're hovercrafts.
But like the buildings are clearly there's like an upper level for like
it's kind of almost Blade Runner.
Yeah, it's kind of Blade Runner, Akira, because they take a lot from Blade Runner and Akira.
Yeah, that futuristic vibe,
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I only say the Akira thing because in Robin's Reckoning they do the scene with the bike with Robin with they reference Tetsuo's little bike thing that like everyone in animation does.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so like it like clearly like it's the future. There's hover cars. There's clearly like. There's like New Gotham and Old Gotham, kind of like New Detroit and Old Detroit from RoboCop.
Yeah.
And so we're introduced to our protagonist, Terry McGinnis, who's I think Asian Irish, I want to say.
I'm not sure.
You know what? I'm thinking of Spider-Man 2099, where I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're thinking of 2099. I have a guidebook for this show, and I really should have tried to dig it out, but I couldn't find it.
Well, his dad's Irish. Yeah. I'm not sure about what his mom is, but
one of the first things too we notice is that there's a gang running around called the Jokers.
Yeah, they jump Terry while he's on the bus because he's watching the futuristic TV on there where they're talking about.
Yeah, and one of them kind of like tries to hit up this chick for money and stuff, and he stops the guy, punches him.
So, like it shows that Terry has some skill when it comes to fighting. I think he's also on the I think it's not the bus, it's the subway. He's on the subway with his girlfriend Dana. And they're watching a news report about, I think it's talking about how it's been like 50 years since 20 years since the last sighting of the Batman.
That's not in the pilot.
Not in the pilot?
That's not in the pilot.
I could have sworn that the news thing brings up that
maybe that was a comic. Well, no, because the episode, this is like me busting out like how many times I've seen this episode.
You're more than welcome to prove me wrong because
they're talking about the Powers.
The Powers buyout of Wayne Industries because basically, like. I know a lot of people are like, well, why would Bruce do? I'm like, Bruce is old.
Bruce is old and he's just given up.
Yeah, given up, but like, he's old. Like, he can't run no one in their 80s actually runs a multi-billion.
You could argue it's a depressing thing. Like, he devoted his whole life to being Batman, and he can't be Batman.
Well, and to make matters worse, his parents' company is now being bought right out from under him.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have anybody else.
Yeah, so,
but anyway, we meet Terry. It's shown that he gets into scrapes at school, and it's mentioned he gets into fights. He's kind of the street urchin.
When he's playing
he's wrestling.
I thought it was like future lacrosse. No, that's a later episode.
Yeah, this is
there's wrestling. A later episode where they play like future lacrosse, and it's the stupidest looking thing. It looks like Tron. It's so bad.
And then we cut to his dad, and his dad works at Powers Wayne Industries, whatever the hell it is. I can't remember. I think it's Wayne Powers.
Yeah, Wayne Powers.
Yeah, Wayne Powers.
I would say in the comics they bring Powers up every once in a while.
But so they show his dad, and he meets with this coworker that he gives up Terry's dad a disc.
Yeah.
And says, keep this for me. And then the security guards come in, the associate tries to run off and he gets subdued, and we notice there's these like black spotches all over his skin.
Yeah.
To which Terry's dad is like, what's wrong with him? And the main enforcer for Powers, Mr. Fist, just doesn't say nothing.
Mr. Fist.
Yeah, Mr. Fist. Fist.
I forgot about Mr. Fist because he's only in this pilot. He's so
Mr.
lame.
Fisk. But so they cut to another scene later where Powers is explaining to Terry's dad, like, it was just a radiation leak in the lab. He'll be fine. You could talk to him Monday morning first thing. Like, he's reassuring him basically. And as he's about to leave, Powers is like, there seems to be a file missing from his records. Would you know where it is? To which Terry's dad just says, no, I would have no idea. but which sets up the whole thing.
Yeah, Powers obviously knows.
So there's something, basically at that point, there's something on this disc that they want.
If I may, Powers is so like the guy who runs Alchemax from Spider-Man 20. He really is just the dude from Alchemax. He's like, you can tell right away he's just the bad guy. He's so slimy and just.
But so Terry, like I said, Terry got in a fight with another student who's a recurring character in the show, and he's trying to be a bully and stuff.
Well, it's also kind of implied that because Terry lives with his dad because his dad and his mom
are divorced,
and it's kind of
his mom lives with their son Max.
Yeah, his little brother. It's kind of implied that like Terry's. Because later on, Return of the Joker actually solidifies it. But basically,
he's been acting out.
Been active out. He's been to juvie. He's kind of he was in a rough crowd before he got to high school.
Yeah, and so he goes home, and his dad is going through this disc, and he's kind of horrified at what he sees,
Yeah.
And he mentions to himself like, Powers must be out of his mind. To which Terry, interrupts and says, "Hey, I'm going out." His dad's like, "You're grounded. You're not going out." And they get into a fight basically, to which, his dad's just like, that's your problem. You can't control your temper, and you better if you expect to get anywhere in life. To which Terry is kind of very dismissive about it.
Yeah.
Says, like, I'll be a big success just like you. And then he just leaves. And you can tell that his dad wants to like reach out to him and talk more about it, but he just kind of gives up.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be a very
bad decision on his part.
But so Terry goes out to a club, and he hangs out with his girlfriend,
Dana.
And the Jokers roll in. And as usual, the Jokers roll in.
Which I really do love the idea that like they're these ne'er-do-wells that kind of form themselves as like a kind of like skinheads.
They're kind of like neo-Nazis.
Yeah, neo-Nazis.
They're basically
skinheads.
neo-Nazis.
But instead of being like intimidating,
they're just stupid as shit.
Because there's a female Joker in this. Because like the Jokers change pretty much all, except for like.
They got the one guy who kind of looks like Joker.
But like the rest of them like dress up in weird. Like there's like a girl who looks like Betty Boop, more or less. They look really
weird.
They look really goofy.
Design. But so anyway, they show up, and they kind of harass everybody at this club, and Terry, to which starts a fight with them, and he kind of basically beats all their asses at first. But then I think more of them show up.
Yeah, more of them show up, so he bails to try and protect Dana.
He basically gets on a bike and just kind of, leads them on a chase.
He drives like all the way to the outskirts of Gotham. He drives to the coast of Gotham.
Yeah, Gotham Harbor, basically. And to which he goes onto a back road, which
takes him to
as we see, there's Wayne Manor.
Stately Wayne Manor.
Yeah. But so he goes up there, and as he gets to the gate, there's Bruce standing there, to which, Terry swerves the bike over and crashes it to not hit him.
Yeah.
But at that point, the Jokers have rolled up.
Yeah, and he's like, you gotta let me in. These guys are gonna like kill me. And Bruce is like, just get off my property. Like he does the most old man thing he can do, and tells these stupid kids to get off his lawn.
But so basically, these Jokers roll up, and the one of them pulls out the infamous. He pulls out a switchblade. Like, let's put a smile on that face.
Oh yeah, he does say, let's put a smile on the face.
Because
what's kind of weird, I think as this show was coming out, they were developing Batman Begins.
Yeah. But, so the Jokers are getting ready to, just totally, beat the shit. Probably kill him, honestly.
Oh, yeah, no, they were going to kill him. They were going to kill him and carve a smile.
You just hear Bruce, and he's like, leave him alone.
Because Bruce...
Get off my property.
Because...
You're trespassing.
In spite of all the giving up that it seems that Bruce has done, he just can't help himself. He's still Batman to a degree.
So he comes out, he's just this old man with a cane, and Terry's just like, it's all right, I can handle this. Yeah,
and then Bruce just looks at him like, no.
Yeah, and the one lead Joker, it's like the best part of that.
Oh yeah, no, this is like one of the best parts of this.
So the head Joker goes up to him and he's like, who do you think you're talking to, old man? We're the Jokers.
And Bruce
just smiles. And he's just like, sure you are.
And then just
so the head Joker pulls back like just slug him, and Bruce just whips out the cane and just beats the shit out of him.
He makes great use of the cane throughout the entire show. My favorite being when he helps Batman interrogate someone in the Justice League crossover. I'm like, what does he do to?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, no, I don't want to know what he does with that cane.
But so Terry and Bruce fight off these Jokers, and they all eventually retreat, It's got this epic scene near the end of it where, Bruce is just standing under the cane. The one Joker sneaks up behind him, and he just slams him in the back. And so they all take off, and Terry's like, thanks for the help. But at that point, Bruce's heart's acting up again.
So he has to.
So Terry helps him into the house
and gets him his medication.
And we also meet Ace the Bat, which is a clear reference to Ace the Bat Hound from the Golden Age.
Well, it's supposed to be, and then later on, Justice League kind of implies it's referencing another Ace, but
yeah, it's a reference.
And we also do get an episode explaining how he gets Ace, because Ace never was in.
But so Terry, gets him in the house and gets him his medication, and he's like, I'm gonna call my dad. He's probably wondering where I'm at, And at which point Bruce is knocked out, basically, because you can tell that he just doing that took so much out of him.
And I think partially because I think the heart medication kind of relaxed him.
Yeah.
Because it's probably kind of like...
It's probably like a sedative.
My guess is what happens is if he strains himself too much, his heart not really has a heart attack, but it like skips a beat.
Yeah.
It's almost like a heart murmur or something. Like he tore like an artery in it.
Which knowing Bruce, he probably did at some point.
Oh, I don't doubt.
But so Terry goes to make a call, and nobody picks up. And so as he's putting the phone down, he hears this bat.
Which
and
is
he
stuck
turns around, there's the bat in the infamous clock entrance, and so Terry being, you can, that's one of the first signs that he's not a bad kid. He's like, okay, he's like, I'll get you out, just don't bite me.
Yeah.
So he's kind of fiddling with the clock, trying to find where the glass is, and it opens the door to the bat cave.
And so
to which he goes down a steps, and he's like, why not?
No, because you find this weird, of course you're gonna go down it.
So he goes down and he kicks the lights on. And there's like the Batwing, the Batmobile, the Bat computer, and he's like, whoa, So he comes down, and all the cases kick on, and he's looking at him, and he's like, gee, no wonder he knew how to fight.
He was, because they try to imply Terry's really smart, but I'm like, you don't need to put two and two together. This old man just kicked a whole biker gang's ass, and then you come down to the cave and suddenly there's
the
Batman,
the Bat family.
You put two and two together. You're like, anyone with two brain cells could have
put
put that
together. As he's about to touch one of the cases, Bruce whacks him with the cane and just says, get out. He basically throws him out on his ass, locks the gate.
Especially because Terry's like, Terry even tries to wrong. I found it.
And I'm just like, well, to be fair, Terry, you kind of broke into the Bat cave.
To be fair, I think Terry even kind of implies, I'm not going to tell anyone. Who would believe me?
Yeah, really. Because it's almost implied that Batman is kind of a myth at this point. It's kind of reverted back to how it was in the beginning.
He's a myth. A legend.
He hasn't been cited in so long. But so Terry goes home to discover that there's all these emergency personnel around his house. And he goes in, and there's ha written all over the walls.
Implying that the Joker's killed his dad, which obviously and this is part of the mystery of this two-parter, is that obviously they couldn't have, because they were with Terry.
Yeah.
Unless
because Terry even says later, because there's a funeral scene, and his mom shows up and is like, don't you want to talk? And so as she's getting ready to leave, he's just like, why would he open the door? And his mom doesn't really know what he means. And Terry's like, they were jokers. He wouldn't have opened the door. He would have looked first. And how'd they trace me back to he's already putting it together. He's like, something's not right here.
Yeah,
how do the jokers know where I live? He's putting it together.
Yeah, so not only is
something's not right.
Is he really good at martial arts, he also has I wouldn't say he's a detective, but he clearly
he can tell when something's bullshit.
Yeah. Which also clearly, again, they took a lot from Spider-Man, because this is so
and
the death of Uncle Ben.
There's this really emotional scene too, where basically
Oh yeah, where Terry's
like, I should have been there. I could have done something.
And Terry's mom kind of is like, no, I know, I'm at least glad that you're still alive.
Yeah, and there's this scene too when they're showing a thing at the funeral where Powers is basically I'll use whatever influence I have to see that these monsters are brought to justice to pay for their heinous act.
Yeah.
Implying that it's come on, something of these not right.
Spoiler alert, obviously Powers did it.
Powers had him killed. But yeah, so Terry grabs all this stuff from his dad's place. He moves in with his mom. And as he's moving in, he drops a box. And there's a picture of him and his dad, and the frame's cracked. Well, and he picks it up, and he feels that there's something behind it.
Yeah.
And he looks, and there's the disc. It's stuck in the picture frame. So he pops it out and looks at it, and he's like, this is why
my dad was killed.
And so, he grabs it and he's like, I'm going out.
His mom's like, where are you going?
But the thing is, while all this is happening, Powers has had him under surveillance.
Yeah.
And, basically, as soon as they see he has the disc, they're like, okay, guess we got lucky.
And while this is going on, we actually find out like later on they put it more together, but basically Powers has been developing a nerve toxin.
Yeah, which he's gonna sell to.
I think Korak.
It's like Iranian Prime Minister Vilmos Eagles. That's his name is Vilmos Eagles.
I want to say they call it Korak, which is what they call the Middle East in the DC. But basically it's Iran and Iraq.
He has a meeting. He has a meeting with
because this came out after 9/11.
We'll get to there in a second because it happens after the one of the most important scenes. So Terry, it's about the storm, and he has Dana drive him out to the mansion.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to leave him out there because it's about the storm, and he's like, I'll be fine. I got to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And so he goes over to the intercom, and he kicks it on, and he's like, come on, let me in. I know you're in there.
I need your help.
Something stinks in your company. I think it's like the answer's on this. I think it cost my old man his life.
And so Batman finally lets him in after he.
And it's got. Not to interrupt because I know the dialogue so well. It's such an iconic two-parter where. Basically, he's like, I take it to the cops, but you know how cozy they are with Powers? How about you taking a look? And there's no lights on up at the mansion. And so Terry waits a minute, and he's like, yeah, I should have known you wouldn't care. And he basically, yells up at the mansion, you're no Batman, you whacked out old fraud. And he just starts to leave, and then you see the gate swing open.
Yeah. And so Terry goes down to the Batcave, and he finally gets to have an actual look. Because, he only really got to see the case.
Yeah, and so, Bruce takes a look at the disc, he fires the Bat computer up, which hasn't been started in God knows how long.
Which is impressive to me that this over 80-year-old
you ever tried to start a computer from, 8 years ago? It does not want to boot up.
Well, clearly implying, especially because, in the animated series, that
was a high tech, even for its day.
Yeah, because, it had, Amiga graphics on it, but it was supposed to be a supercomputer for the 40s.
Yeah.
And while this is all going on, Terry gets a look at the Beyond Batsuit.
Yeah.
And he's kind of intrigued with it.
Yeah, but like I said, all the while Bruce is looking at the disc and he's like, it's some kind of DNA mutagen. Yeah. He's making nerve gas. He's using my company to make nerve gas.
Which, because Bruce was very much anti-military stuff. Like in the world's finest two-parter with Lex is like, we should sell these drones to the army because they could use it for explosives and weaponry. And he's like, I'm not gonna become a warmonger, Lex.
Yeah. And so he looks behind him, and there's Terry looking at the suits, and Bruce is just like, stay away from that. To which Terry is like, he's implying that he's obviously not dumb. He looks at it, he's like, this thing might be old, but it's still cutting edge, flight capability, but it enhances your strength to.
Yeah, because.
And he basically goes to grab it, and Bruce is like, I told you not to touch it.
Yeah.
Because obviously Terry thinks, okay, he's gonna put the suit on, he's gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
And so Terry kind of tries to argue it with Bruce, like, you got to do something. You're Batman.
Yeah.
And Bruce just looks at him and says, I was Batman. And he holds up the disc and he's like, take this to Police Commissioner Barbara Gordon. Tell her I sent you.
Which is probably one of the coolest things where you find out that Barbara became the police commissioner.
Yeah.
It's better, in my opinion, than, where DC kind of tries to play that Barbara's going to be, a librarian and just do nothing else with her life.
We've talked about it as well privately about if the next scene hadn't happened, imagine what that conversation.
Oh no, that would have been hilarious. He goes to the GCPD.
The commissioner's not accepting visits right now. Yeah, but Bruce Wayne said to tell her that he sent me, and that Barbara would have instantly been like, send him in.
Cue to Barbara kicking the door open, like, what's that old man want from me?
What's he want?
What's he want? All right, get in here.
Get in here.
Because it'd be hilarious.
But so as Terry's heading to the police, he gets stopped by Fisk and Powers.
Yeah.
And they basically shake him down for the disc, and he manages to escape with his life, but he loses the disc in the process.
Yeah.
And so cut to a scene of Bruce basically watching the news about how this Prime Minister's come in and he's meeting with Powers.
Yeah.
And he hears Ace barking at something. So he goes over to the window, and there's Ace tied up to the gate.
Yeah.
So he takes a battering and cuts Ace loose.
Which
implying that it's like he can still throw them things really well.
I mean, to be fair,
you don't lose that.
You don't lose that. And not only that, it's not like Bruce's arms are bad or anything. So He probably
he probably still did it.
As an aside, I love the Beyond Batarangs. They look so cool.
We actually talked recently. I'm planning on buying a set of like 3D printed ones because I love the design so much.
They're kind of a fusion of a traditional Batarang and Nightwing's wingerangs, I guess as he would call them, because Dick isn't really that creative with naming. But like, not only that, they also kind of remind me of like the Nightfall logo. Like they look really nice.
I look at Nightfall, and that's actually what I'm reminded of.
Especially because like they're implied to like kind of compact to like a dagger shape, and then like you flick them, and they pop open, and then you can.
It's all
they look sweet.
The cool thing too about the Beyond suit, as we find out, is that it can shoot those batarangs from the wrist.
Again, much like John Paul Valet's Nightfall suit, with the only it's not like a giant Gatling launcher that like it's streamlined. It's smooth.
Yeah, but so Bruce lets Ace into the house. You know, he says like, what's the matter? And Ace immediately runs over to the cave entrance and starts barking. To which Bruce is like, oh.
Because later on we actually find out Ace is actually really intelligent.
Yeah, because he was spliced.
Well, we'll talk about splicing here after we get through the first.
Once we get through the pilot, I know most of this episode is best talking about the pilot, but it's
to
so
be fair,
essential.
the pilot is,
and it's a classic.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. It's very, very well.
To make a long story short, more or less, Terry steals the Batsuit because he wants to, because he knows Powers is behind all of this.
I can hear that music from that scene playing in my head right now. Too.
It's actually he doesn't do too bad of a job. He kind of has a hard time flying with the suit,
but he does pretty well with it once he gets used to it.
And so basically Bruce eventually, like, because obviously he had it wired so that he could communicate back to the Batcave.
Yeah, but so Terry goes over to where they're having this meeting, and it's Powers explaining the nerve gas, like what it can do. Eventually, it turns you into dust.
Well, actually, he does it because I want to say Bruce at that point is like, all right, fine, if you want information, put your finger up to the window, because
he doesn't do that yet.
Oh no, Terry figures it out.
Yeah, he does it by himself. He kind of puts his hand against it
because the fingers of the Batsuit actually have like microphones that can hear through glass. It's a really cool idea to me that like Bruce would do something like that, where it's like, you just put your hand to the window and it like can.
Mr. Fisk.
It can.
Any word on the kid? Not yet, but they're looking at. Good. I have $1 million riding on this deal, and I can't have it messed up by some snot-nosed punk. I took care of his old man, didn't I? It's just like the dialogue is so good in this that I have it memorized. But to that point, Terry now knows. Okay, Fisk is who did it.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he was just a hired gun for Powers. Like, really, Powers is the one.
But he knows who's responsible. And right at that point, he's getting ready to obviously break in there and just beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
All these guards show up. To which and obviously they kick alarms on, so the whole place knows he's there.
Which is funny because, like, if you know the show, you wonder why he didn't use the camo mode. I actually kind of... I
don't think he knew it. I don't think it was on
I think it's either he didn't know it, or Bruce hadn't installed that yet. I always like the idea that... Because it is... He says,
it was a work in progress.
It was a work in progress. And I kind of like the idea that he put the invisibility cloak in after this episode, where Bruce was like, all right, you're not nearly as stealthy as me. I'm going to give you...
Yeah, because he doesn't use it at all in the pilots.
Yeah,
he doesn't use it at all.
I always probably because they didn't think about it when they were making the pilot. I like the idea that like Bruce probably put that in as he's like, okay, this kid's not nearly as stealthy as I am. I'm gonna have to give him some help.
He probably reminds him of Dick a little bit, honestly.
Honestly, Terry really is Dick Grayson in the way he acts.
But so basically, there's this whole scene where Terry fights off these guards, and he's hiding from them at one point, and that's when Bruce comes over on the radio receiver, and he's there's this great scene where like he comes on, he's like, McGinnis, can you hear me? And like Terry is just like, where are you?
Which I'm like,
where are you? And he's just like, there's a radio receiver in your cowl.
Which I'm like, Terry, you have a motorcycle helmet that like you can like, and I know again this is later on in the series, but like. You have to know what a communicator is.
Yeah. So basically, Bruce starts talking, and he's like, I want that suit back, and I want it now. And Terry is just like...
I'm a little busy right now.
Now's not a good time.
Which
the whole time, like, he's trying to hide from these guards. Bruce is just yelling at him.
He's like, this is not a toy.
That suit's not yours.
Yeah, like, it's not a toy.
To which Terry kind of just throws back, like, somebody had to do something, and you sure weren't about to.
Which, like, I know, like, Terry's mad about it, but at the same time, like, dude, he's 80-something years old. What's he gonna do?
But there's this ominous part where Bruce is basically like, I'm warning you. And so basically, then we have it that Terry starts fighting these guards.
Yeah, he's like, he's in the thick of them. Like, they're all around him.
I mean, he's actually holding his own pretty well. But there's this part where near the end of what we think is the end of it, where he's basically like, the suit works better than I thought it would, and Wayne just says like, he says something about like, you bring the suit back, and Terry's just like, no thanks, having too much fun. To which Bruce is just like, all right, okay, that's it. You little shit.
And he pushes a button, and it
shuts the suit off,
and like freezes Terry in place.
And so he's basically like, what did you do? And Bruce is just like, fail-safe device, paralyzes the suit in case the wrong person gets into it.
Which, of course, Bruce, being the paranoid nutcase that he is, would have that in the suit.
Yeah. To which, Terry is just like, you can't, and Bruce is just like, I just did.
Which, as an aside, the suit actually seems to be made in a way that it can actually fit around the person's body, because like when Bruce wears it,
Terry
he's like
is not nearly as bulky as Bruce.
Yeah, and so it fits on him a lot differently. He's much sleeker and kind of, again, much like Spider-Man.
But so these guards are basically kind of beating the crap out of him because he can't move,
Yeah.
And the one guy basically is getting ready to shoot him. And, Terry's just like, Wayne, they're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And you see Bruce just sitting there, and the music is getting ramped up. The guy has the gun pointed. You hear it cock, and you just see the button. And then you just see Bruce slamming the button. And it turns the suit back on.
He's like, all right, kid, you're up.
He basically even says, like, I gave you a break. Now bring my suit back.
And Terry's like, no, I still need to prove, like...
And there's another great scene in that, too. He's trying to hide from the guards, and he's like, I'd love to, but there's these guards all over me. And so Bruce is just, like, obviously watching it on the screen. He's just like...
Yeah, because
there's a broom closet on the north wall. Can you get to it? A broom closet? Just do it. He gets in there, and he's like... Now I'm a sitting duck. I hope you're happy. The far wall. Put your hand against it and push hard, and it swings the door open,
revealing it's one of
hidden passage.
It's one of Bruce's many hidden passage in Wayne Industries, because
so Terry's just like, cool. I built the place. Remember? And so there's this big argument where basically, Wayne is just like, no, you're bringing the suit back. I'm gonna call the cops. They're gonna deal with it.
We'll give him the disc.
You're coming back here.
Because I think even Terry's like, Bruce is like, you're going to give him the disc, and Terry's like, I lost it.
Yeah.
Bruce is like,
I can't remember if he mentions that he lost
the
disc
I can't
or
remember
not.
if he lost it,
but basically, like, and then Bruce is just like, I'll shut the suit off, and this time it'll be for good. And to which, as he's about to hit it, Terry comes on the radio, and he's like, I read up on you, I know what happened to your folks. To which, Bruce obviously stops.
Yeah, because he's just like...
And he probably just has this moment, he's like, crap, what am I doing? To which, and Terry's getting ready, obviously, to just come back. And Bruce is just like, there's a hover pad landing pad. He tells him where the craft is.
Yeah.
And then that's the last we hear of Bruce for much of the episode. Basically, Terry goes, he fights off most of the guards there, and Powers tries to kill him, Yeah. And there's this part where, like, Powers is shooting anything that comes at him, basically, because Terry tries to throw batarangs at him, and, he shoots him. To which Powers is just like, I think he's like shooting skeet.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't think that's how skeet shooting works, Powers.
But so he basically, Terry picks up a barrel of that nerve gas, and he throws it at him, probably not knowing what it is.
Well, yeah, probably not, and thinking like, he wouldn't shoot it.
But Powers turns and just kind of reacts, and he shoots it, and it
just covers him in the
covers
stuff.
him. And the whole landing pad's getting engulfed, and so basically, the hovercraft with all of it, Fisk takes off in it because Powers told him to get in the air.
Yeah, get in the air.
So Terry flies up onto it. He gets inside,
and he has a fight with Fisk.
And there's this great moment where basically Fisk is beating him at that point, and Fisk is just like, you're pretty strong for some clown who thinks he's Batman.
And then
Terry
Terry's
just
like,
looks at him and he's like, I am Batman.
Which is hilarious, because I'm like, Terry, you just stole the costume. You haven't been given permission yet.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like...
But it really references that, because there's an earlier part where in fact, he's running from the guards, where basically, Powers is just like what's going on?
And then,
Batman. Or some clown dressed like him. We're cutting him off. He shouldn't be a problem. And Powers is just like... Batman.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he's just not concerned at all.
Well, not only that, because I'm sure all the time some nutcase dressed in a Batman costume tries to do the Batman thing and then just gets murdered by a bad guy.
Probably what happened initially when Barbara heard about it. She was probably like, oh, great,
some nutcase in a
Then she sees Terry in that episode. She's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, no, because she's like, no, she recognizes
not
that
my
suit.
city.
But
so basically... The hovercraft goes into the harbor, Fisk drowns, and all the nerve gas goes down with him. And then we cut to a scene where Terry is back at the house where he's living with his mom, and he's got the costume shoved under the bed.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
just
not only that,
passed
like I
out.
think we can hear on the news. I think he's watching the news about how like the Powers deal is being delayed or something like that.
Yeah, and so his mom comes and gets him and is like, "Hey, we have company. You know,
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is here to see you."
Yeah. And so Terry's like,
"Oh shit."
"Oh god, he's gonna beat me with that cane."
He comes out,
And
and Bruce is the picture of politeness.
well, yeah, because he's
Terrence,
doing
how wonderful
Oh,
you
this
to
is
join
really-
us.
which is hilarious hearing him say Terrence. Because
Yeah.
he even tries to do even though he's really old, he kind of tries to stop the Batman gruff.
Yeah.
But like you can tell he's too old to completely get rid of it.
He's slipping into that Bruce Wayne persona. But
Yeah.
basically, he
He talks to Terry's
he
mom.
talks to Terry's mom, and he basically explains how they met. He's like, well, he defended me against a gang of hooligans once.
Which I'm like,
I tried to reward him, but he absolutely refused.
and so
Which, Terry's mom is like, Bruce wants to offer you a job. And Bruce and Terry's just
was
like,
like,
a job?
"Job?"
And so Bruce just looks at him and is like, dude, seriously?
and Terry's like, oh,
In my old age, I need to go for
I need to go
this, go for that. And so, like he looks at Terry and he's like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I want you to be Batman.
To which, and they agree and they have this handshake deal, and Bruce is like, welcome to my world. And then we cut to a hospital, and there's
where
Powers. And everybody around him's got like hazmat
Yeah,
suits
because
on.
like clearly he's like,
Because they mentioned early in the episode, the only way to treat that nerve gas is extreme heat or radiation. And
So
it has
they-
to be done quickly.
so they irradiate him, and they give him a mirror, much like the scene with the Joker from Batman the movie.
They give him too much.
Yeah, they're like, we can put a layer of
The large amount of radiation has created a number of side effects. Bottom line, doctor. Kill the lights.
kill the lights.
And you just see this
This
glowing
glowing skeletal hand. Then he takes a mirror and he's literally became a glowing skeleton man. He
And
kind
he
of
just starts laughing.
maniacally.
And that one guy in the hazmat suit, he's fucking horrified.
Yeah,
he's like, oh no,
actually,
I want out of
that's
this
how you
room.
see his face because like it cuts the dude's.
He's just like, I want out of this.
Yeah, no.
I'm done. I didn't sign up for this.
Later on, we'll find out Powers is wearing like a lead,
Like a fake suit.
like a fake lead suit, but like it only can last so long because like
And when he gets angry, it burns it away.
yeah, because like the radiation like spikes. I think it kind of implies he's kind of like chemo.
Yeah.
This monster in the DC universe that's like a living chemical waste dump. And so that's the basic premise of the show. Basically, Bruce is training Terry to be Batman, and also is his man in the chair, much like Alfred or even Barbara was.
They have a pretty rough relationship at first. They don't really trust each other. There's been times where there's times in episodes where Terry will do something and Bruce is basically like, that's stupid. Listen to what I'm telling you to do.
Although occasionally Terry will do something and Bruce actually kind of gives him like credit.
Yeah.
Like that was actually
as the show goes on, their relationship really gets better and better, and they really trust each other. And it's kind of frustrating in some of the more recent comics I've noticed.
Yeah, like
it's regressed, and I'm like,
why?
Why
Where Bruce clearly doesn't trust Terry.
Which I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
with the canon.
it fits with how
comic
DC sometimes how DC treats Bruce, where he's a paranoid nutcase that doesn't trust the people he picked for the job.
Yeah, which is
frustrating, but and so most of the first season is basically him and Terry trying to get dirt on Powers. Bruce, in fact, even is like, I'm taking back control of the company partially.
Yeah, and that's a big theme of the 3 seasons altogether is Bruce trying to regain control of his family's company. You can one of the things I've noticed.
It's more
really,
so in the first season.
The mansion is like how Bruce lives his life is really a good indication of how the relationship with Terry kind of gives him a new lease on life, because when we first see the mansion, everything's all covered up
and it's dark and dank and
then once he starts being like helping Terry, stuff becomes lighter.
In fact, it actually kind of looks more like the mansion did in
TAS
the final season of TAS.
Yeah.
And so the first season is mostly just them introducing most of
the Rogues Gallery.
Yeah, most of the Rogues Gallery.
Spellbinder,
Shriek, Ink. The Shriek is actually probably one of the more Blight.
Who is Powers? Powers is Blight, basically. That's the name he takes.
They also introduced a couple. There's the weird suicide bomber guy, the terrorist dude. He was also in the Zeta.
We can't absorb it all. There's only one solution. Blow it all up.
I forget his name.
I can't remember that guy's
I only know it because I used to watch the tie-in episode from the Zeta Project, or the Zeta Project.
I can remember the dialogue in that scene, and I can't remember that.
There was actually a spin-off to this show where there was this robot named Zeta who could like turn into people.
Maybe it's Rampage. Is that
I
that
forget
guy's
his
name?
I think it's Rampage. I can't remember his name because he was only in a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I know the one because he puts a bomb in Zeta and then knocks himself out so that they can't figure out how to turn it off. Because
why not?
Well, this dude's he's not all there, but the Shriek episode I think is probably one of the ones that I remember the most because basically Powers hires Shriek to drive Wayne crazy and get him kicked off the board.
It's basically on like a sound frequency.
Yeah, because Shriek's whole thing is he's a sound guy. He's a master of sound. He even makes a suit that allows him to soundproof himself to protect himself from the extreme sound waves, and also he can do things like make really powerful sound waves, and he can also do this thing that nullifies all sound, which I think later on the Batmobile actually gets some of that tech to make it quiet.
Basically, they defeat him, and he actually goes deaf.
He literally uses his tech Terry hits it with a batarang and overloads it, and it causes him to go deaf. I think later on he gets like hearing aids.
Yeah. The villain I remember the most from this, besides Ink, who it seems like we both really remember a lot.
If you don't mind, I would like to talk about Ink.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the one that really stood out to me as a kid was Spellbinder.
Oh, Spellbinder's so cool looking.
Spellbinder's costume is freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's like this weird
it's orange and black and it's all swirly, and basically his whole thing is he hypnotizes people.
Yeah, and not only hypnotizes, he can actually create like actual illusions because like when
Terry fights him and basically there's like zombies getting him.
Well, there's that, and when he tries to make Batman kill himself by making him think like he's like jumping off a waterfall into like water.
Yeah, and he's jumping off a building.
Yeah, and I think Batman does something with the suit to knock him out of it.
That's what happens at first when he's fighting the zombies, because basically Terry's like, like there's too many of them, and Bruce is like, Terry, there's nothing there.
Which, to be fair to Bruce, I almost wish Bruce was like, why does he think there's? Oh crap! It's some sort of hypnosis or like, like you think Bruce would have been like, oh, you're under like a spell. Oh, Spellbinder.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I should have thought about that faster.
I really remember the episode where like he has like these like virtual reality tanks that he has kids in. Like there's a lot of troubled kids that go missing, and like it's a thing. And I really remember the line where like Terry goes to get them because Max, one of Terry's friends, who is a recurring character in the series.
Later on, she doesn't I think show up until 2.
No, she's in the first season.
She's in the first season.
Yeah, she's in the first season. Near the end of it, she finds out that Terry's Batman.
Okay.
Like she figures it out.
And she kind of becomes like...
She kind of becomes Oracle almost.
Well, Oracle / Alfred.
Yeah. But basically what happens is Max goes in there and she kind of gets addicted to it because she has a lot of family issues as well. And I just remember the scene where like basically Terry shows up trying to rescue her, and you know, Spellbinder kind of gets a drop on him. Yeah. You know, and Spellbinder basically tells Max like, you know, like go back in the tank, you're fine. And he basically goes down to like he's getting ready to hypnotize Terry, and he's just basically like, who made you the pleasure police?
Which Terry's like, it's not real. Like you're getting people addicted to fantasy.
Well, it's also the point it kills them basically.
Yeah,
like it puts them in like a coma or something.
Yeah, because basically like, but yeah, I know they also introduced a bunch of other villains in later seasons, but like for like the really big villains are mostly like those guys. Later on, they create a new kind of designer drug called splicing. And with splicing, basically they splice a person with animal DNA to make them animal-human hybrids. One of the Jokers in Return of the Joker actually is a splicer, the Wolf.
Bonk.
No, not
Bonk.
Wolf. His name's Wolf, I think.
Yeah, it's Wolf. Crazy hyena.
Which fun fact, he actually is voiced by Frank Welker. He does all the because Frank Welker, if you don't want a cool voice, you get him to do animal noises. He's actually really good at doing animal noises.
Yeah. He's fucking creepy as that too. Like he's
the splicing stuff is probably one of my favorite things about it. Where like, because I like the idea where like, you know, to like make enforcers and stuff like, because like obviously splicing was supposed to be like a way to help with gene therapy.
And basically they're using it as a way like they inject themselves in animals
and make themselves like soldiers.
And when Terry goes up against the guy, basically he gets injected with bat
because the guy is real big on irony.
Yeah, and so basically it turns him into Man-Bat. You know, Terry manages to get back to the cave, and, you know, and he basically goes and He manages to get enough words out to Bruce. He's basically just like, help me.
Yeah, and so I think, in fact, I want to say it actually is based on the Man-Bat serum, because I think he uses the old Man-Bat anti serum to. Yeah,
I think that's what it is that Bruce has enough of that laying around.
Yeah, because he's like, it was very similar. I think he even states like it was very similar to Man-Bat, the Man-Bat villain I fought, and so I was able to.
Yeah, that's another thing that recurs in the early parts of the show is that Bruce doesn't tell Terry a lot about what happened when he was Batman.
Especially because occasionally we'll get references to recurring villains. I know one of Terry has like a friend who ends up working for the mafia,
like the Royal Flush Gang.
No, not there's this dude, I forget this dude. I think his name was like Mountain or something like that. Because he was.
I remember.
Because eventually he gets himself injected with like this drug that makes him like a monster. Yeah. It's supposed to be implied it's a chemical similar to venom. And they even go to find Bane, because apparently Bane's still alive, and Batman's like, I really wouldn't. It turns out Bane has used Venom so much, he's become a crippled, like, senile old man. Like, he literally has to, like, live in, like, a chair and, like...
And there's another episode where this is the one with Royal Flush Gang. At the end of it, Terry and Bruce are talking, and Bruce is just like,
oh, yeah,
let me tell you about a woman named
because Terry fell in love with the youngest daughter of the Royal Flush Gang, 10. Yeah. And then she ends up getting sent to juvie because of this, and he's like...
And Bruce is just like, let me tell you about Selena
Kyle. Which, then they cut to... We don't know what happened to Selena.
But it's a big thing, because it's a big part in the one Ink episode, which, not to give too much away, there's a fight scene in the Batcave where they show a lot of the cases and stuff.
Yeah, and, like, Terry's like, you never tell me about any of it.
They never tell me about any of this stuff.
And so... to defend themselves,
he uses the Mr. Freeze gun.
While also wearing the Grey Ghost hat and goggles to tie in his identity, and he uses so he uses the freeze gun and freezes the villain. But which, speaking of, Mr. Freeze shows up in this because Mr. Freeze was the really popular breakout character of the animated series aside from Harley.
Yeah.
So for those of you who have never seen the animated series, Mr. Freeze actually cures Nora. Well, helps Nora get cured thanks to Bruce. And then she leaves him because he's a big, scary ice monster, which I don't really like, but that's what they chose. And then he gets, like, cancer from being turned into Mr. Freeze.
And so he becomes, like, a disembodied head on a spider body, which is weird.
And then they find Mr. Freeze, and now he's in, like a maximum security hospital prison. And, like, he's just a head.
I've thought about dying.
And so... Like some company wants to use
its powers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is powers.
It's a powers thing.
He gives Freeze a new body, but eventually it causes him to revert
back to
like
Freeze.
So he gets he makes himself a Mr. Freeze Beyond suit and gets revenge on Powers, and then he just dies.
Well, it's funny because like he freezes the doctor who lied to him, really, because it's revealed the doctor is going to kill him.
Because she kind of like felt like. Wasn't the doctor female? And she kind of
she wanted to use him for the research basically, so he got pissed. But he froze Powers, and then Powers kicked on the Blight powers, so he's fighting Freeze with like Blight, and there's this really great scene where like Freeze, he stops Blight and he's gonna die, So Terry's trying to save him.
Yeah.
And the whole episode, Bruce has been like, I don't trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, because to be fair, Mr. Freeze throws away almost every single chance Bruce gives him to change his ways.
So Bruce at this point, who is like just older, he's just like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But basically, there's this scene where Terry tries to save Freeze, and Freeze basically is like, it's too late for me.
Yeah, and so he does like a self-destruct thing with the suit and like causes the whole building to fall apart, to come down. He dies. And to be fair, it's not a bad episode, but like it's one of the few times I'm like, did we really need to bring Mr. Freeze back?
Yeah,
that was one of the weaker parts of Batman the Animated Series. They oftentimes didn't know what to do with the villains after their breakout origin. And not all of them were like that. They did some good things with them, but
you want to talk about the episode with Raish?
Actually, before we do that one, let's talk about the fact that they did a parody of the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, that one.
So
that one's
kind of based on a super. It is really good, but like basically this new team shows up, and one dude is a molten lava rock monster guy. So he's basically the Thing and the Human Torch fused together.
It's three dudes and a girl. So yeah, it's obviously Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah, the one guy doesn't get affected. But basically, I think they were doing an experiment, and they got bombarded with these rays.
Fantastic Four.
And the one dude is like trying to help them, but he also wants to let them use their powers to help people. The woman isn't quite the Invisible Woman, because like I think her power is more like she's like mist.
She's like mist.
And then of course we had a stretchy dude because
Fantastic
Four. But it's kind of cool because like basically they become the hot new thing, and people kind of like, and even Terry's like, am I really needed? Like they have actual superpowers. I'm just a kid in a suit.
Yeah, and which Bruce obviously doesn't trust them.
And although one of my favorite parts is where, because like Max, his little brother, is kind of like they kind of just argue about, like, not because Max is clearly way younger than Terry, but I like when Terry Terry goes past like a mall and they're selling toys of these guys, and Terry's like, oh, I bet you think they're cool, and Max is like, no, I like Batman. Batman, like, because I think Max got saved by Batman a couple of times, and he's like, I think Max, and Terry's just like, come on, I'm gonna buy you ice cream, and Max is like, are you sick or something? Because there's an episode where Terry and Bruce kind of have a falling out, and like Terry doesn't, or no, I'm thinking of Return of the Joker.
Yeah, it's in Return of the Joker.
Where Max is like, Mom, there's a stranger at our table, and Terry's like, no,
I've never seen him a day in my life.
And then he says something like, I'm like, and so Terry flicks cereal at him. He's like,
yeah,
I miss being an only child.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about the Ink episode.
Okay, so
and then we'll jump into the movie.
We might as well talk about the Ink episodes.
Yeah. We'll talk about those, and then we'll jump into the movie, because there's so much in this show we could talk about.
Yeah,
we have a very limited time.
Because there's a Justice.
The movie is worth talking about.
But before we do the Ink, I just kind of want. There's some other good highlights. Like there's an episode where Superman comes back and offers him a role in the new Justice.
Yeah, it's like Justice League Beyond, basically.
Which I actually also would have liked Terry having a relationship with. I guess she's supposed to be like Dolphin.
Yeah. Well, there's this great part where like Bruce,
Beyond.
like Superman gets in the cave. You know, 'cause he remembers, and Bruce is just like they have this kind of like, yeah, they obviously haven't talked
in years. But like, to be fair, it doesn't seem like it was an animosity thing. I think just Superman was like, he's done, and I don't want to. Because like clearly the two of them there's no animosity between him and Superman. Yeah. It clearly is just Bruce hasn't talked to him in a while because it's like, I'm not Batman anymore. There's no reason for
us to have a relationship.
Even though clearly Clark is like, that's stupid, because I'm Superman, and I also am voiced by the guy who did Jor-El, as if to imply that when Superman gets older, he'll sound like Jor-El.
Yeah.
There's also some other ones, like one of my favorite episodes is this AI gets into the bat suit.
Oh my god, I love
and
that.
Almost drowns Terry. Like he drags Terry. He like literally walks Terry into the ocean and tries to drown him. Until
it's this great part. Like basically, the suit's like its AI takes over.
Yeah.
And Terry's just like, I gotta go stop it, And
yeah.
so Bruce gives him
one of his old utility belts and Nightwing's mask. Yeah. In fact, Terry's actually wearing some. No, there's an episode where he goes in disguise.
DG?
Who's DG? And Bruce just looks at him like,
I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, basically, there's one of my favorite parts of that episode is where he's basically. Like he gets, because basically Terry's like, I gotta stop him, and Bruce is like, I'd give you, like he gives him the belt. He's like, here,
I give you one of my.
I give you one of my old costumes, but most of them are pretty torn up.
Which I'm like, but you have
bullet
one in the
holes,
suit. Gnashes,
which
cat claws,
implying like this becomes a big thing with like, why does the suit change between Batman TAS and New Batman Adventures happen?
Clearly,
implying Batman's got multiple suits.
Well, that, and like, to be fair, like if you've ever read a Batman comic, there are
multiple costumes.
And not only that, there are times where Batman gets so beat up the costume is just shredded.
Yeah.
There's that. I liked.
It would have been awesome to see Terry in that OG Batman.
Yeah. New
Batman suit. That would have been fucking awesome.
Especially because
even like if he had worn the Nightwing one, I would have.
Especially because it would have been hilarious. Because like the costume would not fit him very well.
The Nightwing one would probably.
Nightwing one would have been better. I was trying to think of some other episodes. There's just kind of like mention them real quick.
I love the one with Cure where Barbara.
Oh yeah.
Basically, there's this assassin that's trying to kill Barbara's husband.
Well, I think trying to kill Barbara, but he kills the husband first to like.
Well, no, the husband's still.
Oh yeah, because the husband's the mayor, right?
Yeah, the husband's the mayor, and they're married and stuff, and basically.
Yeah, the mayor's married to the commissioner.
Terry stops it,
Yeah.
To which Barbara immediately goes to the cave and gets in, and Terry is flipping out like, "How did you get in here? How did you know about this?"
And she goes to. She looks at the.
Bruce is totally calm. He's like, "Hello, Barbara."
And not only that, because she also goes to the Batgirl costume, like to.
And she like feels it, and she's like, "I see you sewed up the bullet holes." To which Terry finally is like, "She's Batgirl."
Yeah, no. It's just, I'm like, no shit, Terry.
And she's just like, I was Batgirl.
Well, because like
later, there's this other part where basically.
Well, yeah, because she talks to Terry over tea.
She talks to
and
them.
she's like, him and I were lovers, and I'm like, This is the first mention where Barbara and Bruce were lovers in the animated series.
That's what she describes it as puppy love.
Oh.
But there's this other part where basically because basically Barbara's like, don't interfere with this. My father tolerated vigilantism. I'm not. And basically Terry can't help himself. And he does it again, and then he's walking home and Barbara confronts him, and he's like, whoa. He's actually like, okay, don't
actually shoot me.
Yeah, don't hit me. And to which Barbara is just like, if you interfere again, I'll go in there and I'll drag you and Bruce off to jail.
Because there's also a really good scene because like Barbara and Bruce sit down for tea, and I love Bruce. He's like, I can't make biscuits like Alfred did, but I'm pretty good at making a cup of.
Yeah, I never got the recipe for the biscuits.
And because basically Barbara's like, you're not making child soldiers again, Bruce. And to be honest, Bruce at this point is like, no.
I had absolutely nothing to do with it. He chose it on his own.
Yeah,
I'm like, Bruce, you got a point.
Well, not only that, like,
which I think even Barbara's like, okay, whatever.
And Bruce, because like Bruce is even like, what was I gonna do? Like he's not should I let him?
He knows who we are.
He knows who we are, and should I just let him get himself killed?
Yeah.
If he's gonna do this, I might as well at least not get him killed.
Which this really brings up the matter of this. Throughout the series, this leads into the movie. Okay, so we know Barbara's commissioner. Dick Grayson is mentioned here and there. We don't ever talk about Robin.
Yeah.
I mean, there's references here. Like, there's an episode where basically Talia comes back and offers Bruce, like, I can make you young again. To which, he does, and he's doing all this stuff like he used to do, and Terry's just like, I ain't wearing a Robin suit. I ain't wearing a Robin suit.
Although, to be fair, I think that came after the movie, but...
No, that was season 2, I think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, season 2
came in... season 2.
I thought Return of the Joker came between 1 and 2, but I can't remember.
I can't remember. It's in season 2,
But yeah, basically Talia comes back, and she looks young, like she's been in a Lazarus pit.
You haven't aged a day.
And basically...
She gets in a cave, too. That's how it is.
Well, yeah,
you're getting a trend of just people getting in the cave.
Well, to be fair, that's a reference to the fact that the original story with Ra's just walks into the cave because he knows Bruce Wayne is... Because, that's the thing with Ra's. He knows from the beginning that... And so, basically, Ra's is dead and Talia's leading the League of Assassins. And so, basically, Bruce... because it was also his birthday, because it goes into that infamous scene where they watch Terry takes Bruce to watch a Batman musical.
Oh, which is so...
Well, to be fair, come on, it's your birthday. It's Shui.
To which Bruce is just like, I am gonna beat the shit out of
Bruce
you.
is like, you hate me, don't you?
You hate me.
And he's like, come on, it's Shui. And Bruce is like, it's Schwarby. Because Shui is because they do the future thing, like how in whenever Spider-Man in 2099 swears, he goes, shock! Because, that's...
Slag it.
But
that's the other one is slag.
But yeah, and so basically, Talia gives Bruce some of his youth back, except that he has noticeable gray sideburns.
Terry's just basically like, I'm not wearing a Robin suit, and to which Talia's like, he's not gonna be Batman again.
Yeah, well, yeah, because obviously Talia's like, he's gonna lead she even says he's gonna lead the League of Assassins with me, and I'm like,
Bruce, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Because Bruce eventually figures it out because already something's up because Bruce comes out of the Lazarus pit and he looks kind of deranged, which is a side effect of the Lazarus pit. But that's where Terry's like, I don't think we should have done this.
Yeah, but the most disturbing part of the episode is this part where basically it's revealed Ra's is in Talia's body.
He
and it's implied that
she willingly did it.
Yeah, well, and it's implied to that Ra's in Talia's body and Bruce had sex, which is all kinds of fucked up.
I had to know what your body was capable of, detective.
Which is like, no, I don't need them images. I don't need those images.
No, because even Bruce is really horrified.
Yeah, Bruce probably just went home and washed his dick in bleach. Probably.
Although it does lead into this really great scene where both Terry and Bruce fight together, and they even play a rock version of the original Batman theme from the animated series.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, oh. To be the series, though, to be fair, the episode's really sad because Bruce is not only moping because he's once again getting older. He goes through pictures of his various loves, including Barbara. But there's a scene with him and I think Catwoman, a scene with him and I think the woman that they used for Vicky Vale, but wasn't Vicky Vale. I think him and
Vreeland.
Not Vreeland, the newscaster from the animated series.
I can't remember who that is.
I think her name's like Sally Field or something like that.
No, Sally Field's an actress.
Anyway. So before we get into the movies, I really want to talk about the Inc. episodes, because all of Batman, or all of Beyond's recurring villains, Inc. has the most recurring episodes. She has 3 episodes.
And she's one of the more fascinating ones.
So, basically, in her first episode, she's an assassin that Powers hires when he needs dirty work done.
She's very, very Carnage-like. Like, it's very symbiote-like.
Basically, she's living ink. She's supposed to be like a black goo. She has 2 forms. She has a form where she has a woman face, and then a form where her face becomes like just a black void. That's usually her combat mode. In fact, I actually had her ink toy from the Batman Beyond Burger King toy meal, because like you can like rub her face, or no, you can put her in warm water and it turns her, like, it's supposed to turn her into like the ink form.
I think I remember seeing commercials for those. I never had any of them.
But basically, she's hired to do corporate espionage, and I think try to assassinate Wayne at some point. But
Powers wants Wayne dead because he's trying to gain the company back, but that's not happening.
But basically, Ink is probably one of the more formidable foes that Terry fights, because a lot of the villains in this, aside from like Spellbinder and Curie, are just guys hired by Powers to, either stop Batman or off Wayne. But Ink is clearly like this is what she was built for. Like, Terry actually has, like, the hardest time stopping her. In fact, I don't think he ever stops her on his own in any of the episodes.
No, I don't think he does either.
The closest he gets is when he first fights her. He realizes that she doesn't do well with water.
You don't like water.
Yeah, and so he kicks water at her. Because basically none of his, batarangs just go through her. She flies around. There's one point she actually, wraps herself around Terry and tries to force herself down his throat to, suffocate him.
It's very disturbing.
In fact, I want to say this is also when they introduced the new Batmobile, which is this awesome, hover car.
This is
unbearably cool. And I know what you're thinking. He can fly, but, the Batmobile has, all sorts of extra tech.
They're stretching the legs, right? And Terry just, shoves the
he's
accelerator.
Like, whoa! And, Batman's
he's, spinning it around and stuff. And Bruce is like, please don't do that.
Which is hilarious, because if Bruce got behind that thing, because one of the recurring jokes in the DC universe is that Batman's a terrible driver, or he's kind of crazy when he gets behind the wheel.
Yeah.
But that's just because that's one of the few things that Batman really enjoys about being Batman is the Batmobile.
Being the goddamn Batman.
Hold on. I love that in Arkham Knight, whenever anyone gets in the Batmobile with him, they're always like, do you always drive this crazy?
Yeah, even Poison Ivy's like that.
But basically, Ink kind of knows who they are because she gets into the Batcave, like we talked about earlier. She gets in there because she turns herself into the body of the Batmobile.
She hooks onto the Batmobile, to which even Bruce is like, the Batmobile's, because Terry's like, if she's feeling kind of sluggish, put her down. Put it down on the pad. I'll do an analysis.
And then Ink shows up and starts.
Too heavy.
Yeah. Heavy. Oh no! And then Ink jumps out and she kind of recognizes. I don't think she sees Bruce entirely, but one of the bigger worries with Ink is that she might know.
Yeah, but basically she goes on this rampage through the cave and stuff. She smashes a lot of the cases.
She nearly kills Terry.
So at one point she tries to go up through the ceiling. To which Terry's like, she's trying to get to the surface, and Bruce is like, not happening. That's steel. That's steel up there.
Yeah,
he's like, that's reinforced.
Yeah, he has 1,600 layers of steel between the cave and Wayne Manor.
What she's doing is she's making all the stalagmites fall, and she's trying to kill him that way.
Yeah, she's basically trying to create a cave-in. And so Bruce is basically like, stall her. I have an idea. And so, he basically figures out. He gives him the electrified batterings. So I want to say this is also when he gets the electrified batterings for the first time. And
which are the same as the normal ones. They're blue though.
Yeah, and they have taser abilities.
They kind of look like Nightwing stuff almost.
They try using that, and eventually I think she just kind of brute forces her way around the tasers. And again, she tries to force herself down Terry's throat.
It's so disgusting. Because then once Bruce defeats her, he's sitting there just throwing her up, and it's so disgusting.
They make it really visceral that he almost swallow which I'm sure the Vor fans of this show.
I was
really
just
enjoyed.
About to say, I'm DeviantArt probably loves
so this is where we get Bruce putting on the Grey Ghost hat and goggles and using the freeze gun because he's like, I got it. If she's weak to water, let's try ice. And he freezes her, and then this is actually, I think, where they first meet Barbara, because Bruce sends a drone with, or Terry sends.
Yeah, it's a drone.
Yeah, but I think it's a part of the Batmobile, so Terry's with the Batmobile, And so they show this net just full of ice with ink stuck in the middle. Like, he's like, I'm sending you a gift. To, like, kind of...
That's how they call, is that Barbara's just like,
Yeah.
you haven't really talked. And he's like, I sent you a gift.
And so later on,
I think that's the episode right before the Curé one, because that leads directly into it.
In the later episodes, Ink also gets less and less human. It's implied that both using the freeze gun and the way they freeze her in keeping her in like Blackgate, I guess. They never explain what prison this is, but
it's basically Blackgate.
For all intents and purposes, we'll call it Blackgate. She was kept under ice, and it's somehow causing her body to break down. Basically,
she can't maintain her human form.
Yeah, she can only be in her ink face form, and this dude who like controls the thing falls in love with her.
Yeah, it's weird.
But basically he gets fired because they're like, we've seen what you've been doing because we have cameras everywhere. It's the future.
Yeah.
And so he falls in love with her and breaks her out. And so she's like, I'm unstable. I need you to help me get chemicals. And he's like, all right, but on one condition. She's like,
I want to be like you.
Well, what's funny is like I think she almost is like, am I gonna have to sleep with you?
Yeah, she's probably like, oh, come on.
Oh, seriously. But then he's like, I want to be like you, and she's like, oh, okay. I think partially because he's like, and then I'll sleep with you.
Yeah, probably.
But basically, she's like, all right, fine, whatever. Like, you can be like me. So they steal the chemicals. I think it's in the later episode, but. Like, basically, she's like, I want to get Batman, but I also want to get the old man that's helping him. Because she doesn't quite... Yeah, there's two of them. So, they kidnap him.
Terry.
Yeah, Terry. And she's like, look, old man, I know you can hear me. You probably have him... Well, I don't think she says the wired up thing, but she's like, he probably has him traced or something. He'll come. And so she gives him, like, an ultimatum. Like, you have until this much time.
Or kill him.
And so while this is all going on, she gives the dude the treatment. Except that she doesn't give it to him completely. So he's almost like melted goo.
He's like Clayface.
Yeah,
almost.
he's like, he didn't give me the full treatment. And like Bruce is even like, oh my god. So, because in the episode they also introduced that Bruce had a prototype of the Beyond suit, which was
implied he's got several. I mean,
yeah, but like this prototype was basically like it's like a Hulk buster.
It put too much strain on his heart.
It's like a Hulk buster in a way. So Bruce is like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but he's like, and then he looks at the suit, he's like, all right. So he shows up once again in like the gray ghost hat and glasses, and he wears like a trench coat, and he finds Terry's like, it's a trap, and Batman's like, obviously, because he's Batman. And so Ink starts fighting him, and she uses her ink to lash around him. So Bruce, in one of the few times he returns to being Batman, reveals that he wore the suit underneath the cloak, like it almost can like fold up.
To which Terry is like, oh no.
No, you're gonna die. And so Bruce fights Ink, and he doesn't do a bad job.
He holds his own.
But eventually the strain's too much, and she starts wailing on him. So Terry, I think eventually he frees himself and shatters the skylight because I think they're in like a boxing, like an old...
Yeah, they're in a boxing arena.
And he shatters the glass, which causes it to rain, because she hasn't taken the cure yet, because she's been tampering with it. She wants to kill them before she...
Yeah. And
so the rainwater causes her to dissolve into the water and go into the storm drain. And I always love it because like Terry's like, so this is why, or Bruce is like, now do you see why I stopped being Batman? And Terry's like, no, I don't buy it entirely. And I do love it because Bruce sees her like ink flowing down into like the storm, and he's like, poor deluded fool. And I'm like, I see what you did there, Bruce.
Yeah.
And so
clearly a reference to the 60s show.
That episode,
some fun.
The episode, it's so sad because like the poor dude who broke her out is now basically in the same room, and now there's this girl that feeds him because like she has to like mush up the food because
it's kind of weird.
And she's like,
you can tell this was pre-Columbine because they're getting away with this kind of stuff.
Well, and she's like clearly like in love with him because like she has to like she's like, I want to get you fried chicken, but you can't eat the bone. You wouldn't be able to handle the bones. I'm like, are you implying you would have fed him the bones? Yeah, he's still kind of human.
Yeah, it's messed up.
And like it kind of implies that she's in love with him, but like it's not in the same way he was. Like so she like talks about his day. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
But it's really. I feel bad for that guy. Like because like he clearly was
he clearly got used.
He clearly like I feel bad for the dude. So we come to the final episode, which introduces us to Ink's daughter, she's not evil, like as evil as her, but like she's a con artist. She constantly steals people's money and like does all sorts of Ponzi schemes to get money. So she finds Ink, who's somehow alive. Clearly, like they didn't know how to bring her back, so she's just kind of alive, and she's also able to return to her human form. I think I forget. Either she took the formula and it did work, but like getting thrown down the storm.
It wasn't a permanent fix.
It wasn't a permanent fix. So like Ink talks with her and she's like, I'm your mother. Like I had to give you up because look at me, I'm a supervillain. And so she wants to help her mom. And so once again Terry's like, oh crap, Ink's back. Because I think Ink's just running a crime spree at this point. Because at this point Powers is no more. Powers gets defeated like at the end of the first season.
Yeah.
Eventually I think he gets thrown into water and it causes him to like dissolve. Which I love because Terry's like, you killed my father. And he's like, you're going to have to be more specific. Do you know how many fathers I've killed? I'm like
Jesus.
Wow. But this one I don't remember as much because of the three of them, the second one's actually kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because like it was kind of more interesting, especially and Bruce rescues Terry.
Yeah.
But basically,
it's a very Azrael looking suit. Too.
Yeah. Which that obviously was on purpose, but. I love there's this one scene where this cop escapes with a bunch of people, and Terry's like, "Why is he wearing a coat?" Like, and he fights the cop, and the cop's one. He's like, "No, you don't understand." And then the coat's revealed to be Ink, and like she escapes. Because later on, like I think the daughter realizes that Ink's gonna just kill her when she's done needing her, so she literally kills Ink with a fire hose. Although later she comes back, I think in the Justice League episode.
Yeah, because nobody stays dead.
Yeah, and well, I love it because like she basically betrays her mom and like. Flushes her down a drain once again. Cut to her, like, I think she got, like, money from, like, doing all this, so she's now living in the pool.
The Ink episodes, honestly, are really one of those episodes that, like, as a kid, I loved them. As an adult, I still love them, but they terrify the shit out of me, because I'm just, like, especially because, like, if you're like me and you spend a lot of time at night, like, with the lights off and you're just on a computer, it's just, like, oh, man, if that was real, she could be anywhere in this fucking house
the ending is... Because like Batman Terry goes to the daughter and he's like, she's done this before, and you kind of screwed her over, and she's like, I'm not afraid, and he's like, well, just be careful, and then he leaves, and you can clearly see she's paranoid, like, because like she literally could be anywhere, because like she was able to like to hide anywhere because she can literally like condense her body to like a thin strand, like. But like you said, like Ink is really
Ink is a horrifying villain.
Ink is honestly one of the more interesting characters, especially because like she's clearly like just an assassin. Like she shows no empathy or remorse. She's probably one of the more deadly characters of Terry's rogues. But yeah, like, and to be fair, there are some other villains and some other notable episodes, but the Ink ones are honestly my favorite just because of the fact she had so many episodes. And I like kind of the idea of her having, like, a daughter.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to show that, Ink did have...
She was human at one point.
Human at one point. Because I want to say she had her before she got the experiments to make her Ink. But, like, so, like, that's the common theme over it. And, of course, we now come to the movie. We probably should keep it a little brief, because we have talked about this movie.
We've already talked about the movie. Please watch our top 10 superhero movies.
Yeah, because we
talk
more or less just talk
about this movie, because we're gonna try basically not to rehash everything.
If you want, we could just talk about how this was kind of one of the first movies you and I ever experienced that had two different versions.
Yeah. So basically, because I don't think we touched all.
Well, we did. You did bring up Columbine real quick, but basically, this movie came out in '99 around the time Columbine.
It was in production and it was almost done, and then Columbine happened.
Yeah.
And
in fact, I want to say it got pushed
after Columbine.
Yeah.
Everything came under scrutiny. Video games, music, movies,
and especially animation.
Cartoons, everything. Everything came under scrutiny because everybody was paranoid. Like, how could this happen? Like, why did this happen? So they blamed everything.
Well, because I remember when they went to the kids' room and they found they were playing Doom, which Doom was like 10 years...
Doom was like at least
10 years
half
old.
A decade old at that point.
No, it was like a decade old.
Yeah, it was already been out. But basically, everything was coming under attack, and... They looked at this movie and were like, oh shit, we should probably tone this down.
Probably one of the most remembered parts of this movie is when a Jokerized Robin shoots the Joker to death with his own ha-ha gun.
Yeah.
So basically Warner Brothers was like, we still want to release this movie, but you
go
have
back
to...
and edit it. So basically, what they did was they chopped a lot of like subsequent hits they took out.
Yeah, like a common trope at this time during like in the really late 90s, early 2000s, if you did fight choreography in your show, whenever you'd see like before the hit got delivered, you'd get like a flash of white, and they would show the response of the person that got hit.
Yeah. It was a way for censors to be like, hey, we're not actually showing it. Hit.
We're showing the wind up and the receive. And some shows later on wouldn't do the white. They would like cut away as like the hit's gonna direct.
Well, I don't even think in the Batman Beyond pilot when the Joker's getting hit by the cane, I don't even think they white it out.
No,
I think it's just straight. He's getting beat.
Yeah, like to be fair, like again, that took place before Columbine, and also because that was a pilot and also originally a direct-to-video movie, they were allowed to get away with a little bit more.
Yeah. But so they cut a lot of subsequent hits out of it. They did a lot of editing on dialogue. Like any mention of killing or death. Got removed. One of the big instances is later in the movie when after Joker breaks into the cave and Terry gets the whole rundown on what happened. Like what happened to the Joker? Why is he dead? Why don't you guys tell? Like Terry's basically like, you guys got to tell me what happened. And so basically Terry's sitting in the cave and everything's all smashed up and still Jokerized, and Bruce comes down and Terry's basically going off like, I think it's Robin. I think that's what this is.
Well, no, Bruce is like, because once again Bruce is like, I can't ask you to do this.
If I was the world's greatest detective like I ought to be, man, I would have probably had this case already wrapped up by now. And then Bruce is just like, it was never that easy.
And then Terry's like, I'm not.
How you feeling? Lousy.
Every once in a while when I'm sick and someone's asking me like, how are you feeling? I'm like, lousy. But
basically Terry's like, like I was never I was the one who broke in and swiped the suit, remember? I was never Robin. And he stops and looks and sees the Robin costume is
the only one destroyed, yeah.
And he even mentions it. He's like, okay, so Joker smashed up the cases. Why was this the only one he went out of his way to destroy? And in the edited one, Bruce says Robin defeated him.
Yeah, which in the uncut version, he's like,
Robin did
killed
shoot him.
Right, Robin did shoot him. There's that. The guy who's kind of like trying to take over Wayne Industries that hired the Jokers to...
So he could ransack the lab. And bunglers tried to ice Wayne.
Because I think they say ice Wayne.
They say ice Wayne in the censored one, and the real one they say try to kill.
Yeah. Although
they cut kill and death.
Although to be fair, I kind of like him saying ice Wayne just because I'm like,
yeah.
It kind of gives him a little bit more character just because he's like, instead of saying like kills, like I had to.
And there's some weird editing. Most of the edits in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like they cut out a big 360 fight scene.
Yeah, where the Joker's just rush Terry.
They cut out the Joker's entrance. They cut out him killing Bonk, and there was this big scene afterwards where he's basically like, "Are you with me?" And he goes around to everybody in the Joker's crew, and he gets the Bonk, and he's like, "Bonk? Oh, right. Dead."
He looks at the camera too, like
breaking the fourth wall before Deadpool.
But because like in the edited version, he just
Brave New World.
As
such yachts.
Oh yeah, and they changed that from
yachts
to
yachts, which makes no sense for the same damn word.
Were you offended that the Yiddish members of your audience would get upset about that?
Yeah, they're basically
I've used the word yachts before.
As someone who's seen both, they kind of just wrap stuff up.
Well, I was gonna say Bonk gets just doused with Joker gas and he's laughing the whole time.
Yeah, he just gets died.
Yeah, like but probably and then
I was just kidding.
So was I. Oh wait.
No, I wasn't.
I also did.
That's like the best intro too, because all you can see is that the
it's just the red eyes.
And I'm like, oh no.
But real quick, I just want the other really big is of course the Joker's death in this, which is kind of hilarious because like in my opinion the censored one is very worse because in the uncut he just gets shot.
He basically gets shot by Robin, and he's laying there and he's like, that's not funny. That's not. And then he just dies. In the censored one, Robin throws the gun away
and pushes him into the lab, and he slips on.
He slams into a vat of water, and it floods the floor. And as he's going, he trips and he grabs something to prop him, and he grabs an electric thing and he turns it on.
Yeah.
And he kills himself that way by accident.
But yeah, and otherwise it's just a lot of cuts. They cut out a lot of the family family moments video.
There's supposedly his apron says "kiss the cook." Originally, it was supposed to say "kill the cook," and they never put that.
Well, that I think even then they were like, nah, that's a little too much.
There was another scene.
They cut out where he puts these prongs on the thing he's got Robin tied to.
Seen him so
and he
strong.
which I don't know why they couldn't, like, I know, like, the chop, but like it wasn't really that graphic.
There's another line too where basically
but he
all
the
too
too soon the serums and the shocks took their toll. But I think I think he just says the torture in the edit. I can't remember what the edit's there, but like, or no, but all too soon. I think they just cut it all out together. He's like, but all too soon the boy began to share such secrets with me.
Secrets that are mine alone to know.
Bruce. I think but basically, like.
Then there's a scene after Bruce throws him out the window, and he's holding him up against the toy letters. He's basically like, he's like, I'll break you in two.
Yeah, I think in the edited, or like in the edit he says I'll break you in two. I think in the cut he's like, I'll rip you in two.
He still says I'll break you in two. To which, Joker's like, if you had the guts for that kind of fun, you would have done it years ago. On the other hand, and in the uncut one, he pulls out a switchblade
and slashes him across the chest and then
stabs him in the leg.
Which is where he gets the limp from in the rest of the show, because like he clearly like that. In
the edited one, they never explain it. Why he does he limp?
Yeah, and then in the edited one, I think he just gets punched by the Joker and falls off the blocks.
Yeah, he just gets punched.
But it's kind of funny, him and I know this so well just because we've watched both versions.
Another censored one is that when he's holding up Bruce for Tim to shoot.
Oh yeah, he says make him one of us, because like clearly he's gonna hit him with Joker talks.
Make Daddy proud. Make him one of us.
Whereas clearly
in the censored one, it's make Daddy proud. Deliver the punchline.
Because clearly this is all really what Joker's been leading up to. He's like, no, I don't care if I have a family.
I want you to kill him.
I want you to kill him because it'd be hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But like, to be fair, it's kind of funny how much, because you and I both have a censored version and an uncensored.
And I know both have been pressed on DVD. The censored one is obviously the harder one to find on DVD.
Which is so hilarious nowadays because like
I don't know if the uncut ever came out on tape.
No, it never came out on tape.
The censored one was on tape. Uncut came out on DVD because basically for years you could only get the censored one, and nobody knew it was censored.
Yeah.
But then it came out that like in interviews and stuff, people were like, well, we had to edit it. There's another cut, and people were like, there's another cut.
Well, and this is one of
and there was basically a huge fan demand. There was a petition like saying, if I may, Warner Brothers release this.
One of the other things though, thanks to the early days of YouTube, there was a Hong Kong. Someone found a Hong Kong like bootleg DVD of this, and it had the uncut version.
We've seen scenes of it on YouTube because it has the subtitles.
That's actually how I first saw the uncut, because it has the Hong Kong subtitles, and that was where I learned about like this, like the fact that like Barbara talks to a couple of prostitutes,
one of which is decked
out like Black Canary. Which, to be fair, I think those were actually in the new Batman Adventures. They were her informants, and like I'm like they're clearly prostitutes.
Yeah.
But like that was how I learned about the. Because, like, for a long time, you could only find the uncut version of the flashback. Like, you couldn't find uncut versions of anything else from that.
So nobody knew what else was changed. But like I said, once it came out that, hey, there's an uncut.
There was a demand for it.
Yeah, there was a huge fan demand, like, saying, like, can you release this? And Warner Brothers was like, because this was years afterwards. And they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Which is funny, because someone actually got me...
To me, the uncut one is honestly a fucking masterpiece. One of the
really
best movies of superheroes ever made.
The uncut, the censored version is not that bad.
The censored one's not bad either.
Because
I honestly think it's fun to watch both.
Yeah, and to be fair, because Bruce Timm always says, thanks to the censors, we were able to make really horrifying things because they wanted us to censor it certain ways, like Dreams and Dark or Over the Edge, where we couldn't show Barbara landing on the car from certain angles. Except from her father's point of view, where we watch her literally crash into the windshield. Which I'm like, no, that actually made it worse.
But
and to be fair, I think Joker's death in the censored version is just because you don't see anything, horrifying. But you hear him scream to death.
Yeah.
But so overall, Batman Beyond, what should have been a terrible premise on paper, became
one of the best Batman things ever.
It was so good. Like, they had to make sequel episodes of it.
They had to make comics of it and bring it into continuity because people love it. Yeah. The suit is one of the most beloved bat suits.
But yeah, like, and to be honest, like,
I think Mark Hamill considers Return of the Joker to be one of his best works too, which
it is.
as
But
you
he
and
also
I have talked about.
Yeah.
That monologue where he's taunting Bruce, where he's basically like, and kind of like the kid who peeks in his Christmas presents. I must admit, sadly anticlimactic. That's one of the best monologues as Joker he has ever done.
Like, I have it memorized.
So great. It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic.
What the heck? I'll laugh anyways. But, like, to be honest, I've actually heard Hamill's like, I actually kind of find it horrifying, and I wish I kind of hadn't done it just because, like, it was so, like, because, like, he doesn't like that his Joker sometimes does really awful things, even though he's willing to do, like, the voice acting.
Yeah.
He's like, this is probably the worst thing my Joker ever did.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they actually do reference what he did, because, like, in Justice League Unlimited, they talk about how the Joker stole a bunch of tech from Cadmus, which is how he made the chip that allowed him to take over Tim's body. And of course, there's actually a couple crossover episodes of the show. One where it crossed with Static Shock, which is where they came up with the old man Static like design. An episode with the Justice League Unlimited where when Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern time travel and meet beyond Batman and Old Man Bruce. And they did an epilogue episode where we find out why Terry's so good at what he does. And it's because Amanda Waller stole some of Bruce's DNA because as he left DNA everywhere. And then Terry's like, are you implying you slept with him or like stole semen from him? And she's like, not like that. And so basically she took some DNA from his blood and then injected it into Terry's father during a routine checkup to basically make it so that his reproductive organs would make Bruce Wayne's DNA. And so when Terry and Max were born, they have black hair, which neither of their parents had. And it's also kind of implied that that's why they got a divorce, because Terry's father thought, well, obviously you were unfaithful to me because these kids look nothing like me.
Well, there's this scene where basically she paid Phantasm.
Oh, yeah, she pays Andrea Beaumont to try and kill his parents.
Phantasm almost does it, and she stops. She's like, I can't do it.
I'm not, like, she even goes to Wall and she's like, I'm not going to do what, like, I lost Bruce because of all of this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make another Batman.
It's one of the few times we see Phantasm.
Yeah.
Outside of Mask of the Phantasm.
Because, like, Terry has, like, a whole loss of faith because he figures it out.
Yeah.
And it's actually... Because, like, there's flashbacks that are in black and white, and for a long time I thought those were actually happening, but no, it's actually Terry's thoughts, like, should I call out Bruce for doing this to me? Yeah. Should I break up with Dana because I don't know about myself? Should I leave the Justice League?
Yeah.
And so Amanda Waller's like, you're still you. Like, your father dying was just a,
Yeah, like they call it Project Batman
Beyond.
Title, but yeah.
And so, like, basically, she's like, just live your life, kid. And just don't be like the old man. Actually take care of the people you care about. Because in this, Terry's clearly, like, in his 30s. And Bruce must be, like, in his late 110s.
Yeah.
Because he's even older in this than he is in the show.
Yeah.
And so it cuts to him talking to Dana on the phone because he's going to propose to her. And then he's in Wayne Manor. And, he's super old. He made Terry soup, like as an old man would. And he's trying to open his pills because he's like, Kent called. There's something he wants you to check on. Probably nothing super urgent. You could wait until morning. And then Terry's like, I'll just pop over to Metropolis because I'm Batman. And Bruce is like, you really are reckless, just like my old man. Kind of implying, like, you know what? Bruce is, because it implies that he thought Bruce was behind this. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Bruce had nothing to do with it. Because Bruce would have even been like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's way out of
that.
character.
But, like, I always love that episode just because, like, Terry, it was an interesting story, and it explained why Terry looked nothing like his parents.
Yeah.
But otherwise, guys, I think that's kind of right. Like I said, it's one of my favorite spin-offs.
It's probably my favorite Batman thing is Batman Beyond. It's been that way since I was a kid. That's my favorite Batman thing. I like a lot of different Batman stuff. Batman Beyond is the one thing I always come back to.
Yeah.
As evident by you've watched me play Arkham City,
and
I'm always using the Beyond suit.
they've also talked about making like a live action movie of this.
It's come up a couple times. I know Nolan talked about it at one point. He didn't do it.
I wouldn't mind seeing a live action, but only if they got Kevin Conroy to play Batman.
Oh yeah.
Either that or Michael Keaton.
Yeah, gotta tie it in.
Like, I wouldn't mind Keaton being Bruce, but like, give me Conroy, especially because he's being the Kingdom Come Batman in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
I'm like, just let him be Old Man Bruce. Just let me have this Hollywood. Just
I could get Burt Ward to be Tim Drake too.
Actually, that would be really kick-ass.
That would be awesome. But we've talked for almost 2 hours now about Batman Beyond, which, again, I think just to wrap up our thoughts, you know, if you haven't watched it, it's certainly worth a watch.
Yeah.
Return of the Joker, certainly worth a watch. In fact, I actually think if you're gonna watch only like 1 or 2 animated Batman movies, Return of the Joker, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah,
watch those 2.
So like I said, I think this will wrap it up, guys. I'm sorry this kind of came after November, but don't worry.
We started filming it on November 30th. It counts.
It probably won't get out at the same time, but
it'll probably be uploaded on December 1st or December 2nd, but it counts because we filmed. Again, sorry for the wait on stuff, just life got crazy.
Yeah, life got crazy. And don't worry, you've also probably noticed I swore a little bit more in this. That's because we don't want COPPA to get on our asses. Ass. Lot of ass.
Fucking shitballs.
See, COPPA? We are not for kids.
Fucking Country Roads Take Me Home? Country Roads Take Me to a fucking finished game. What were they thinking?
I'm probably not going to do the F-bomb because that's just not me in these, but anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I'm ZonGetsy134.
And I'm Average Joe Squad.
And as always, we ask you,
remember the hyphen.
Take care.